Welcome back to The Circle, the podcast where we go all in on men's work, embodiment practices, and personal growth from our queer perspective. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe and leave us a review. And if you're curious about the work that we do or the practices that we've mentioned on the show, head on over to myembodiment.com where you can practice meditation, breath work, and yoga with us in real time. And you can ask us a question about anything you've heard us talk about here on the show. That's myembodiment.com. Now, on to today's show. In this episode, we're asking, why might someone struggle to recognize or accept care, even when it's freely offered? The love being given is real, but it doesn't land for some reason. Maybe it's not shown in the way that we expect, or maybe it stirs up old wounds. Whatever it is, we know that it can be frustrating on both sides. And so that's where we're going today. Tim, are you ready to go all in?
I'm ready.
All right, so let's do this. This is a topic that's near to my sensitive little heart here. Care.
Oh, is it?
It is.
Okay.
And I've mentioned it a couple times on the show that I have a distant relationship with my family.
hmm
And a lot of that comes down to a narrative that I've told myself over and over again, subconsciously, consciously, sometimes as well, that they just don't care or that they just don't get me. And the truth is, the real reality is they do care. They do love me. They just show it in a way that I don't always receive.
hmm
I don't always receive their love in a way that signals to me I am cared for. And an example of this would be at Christmas, this past Christmas, where I didn't receive a formal invitation. I didn't receive a phone call. Nobody called me up and said, "Hey, I want you to come to Christmas this year. It's at this time, this place. Will you please come?" It was, in my opinion, a passive aggressive remark halfway through a Christmas phone call where it was like, "Oh, would have been nice if you would have been here."
I remember you saying that.
Right.
Yep.
And so that just didn't land. And I know that underneath it all, underneath the tone, underneath all of it was a true, sincere desire for me to join them. And there was sadness and there may have been some whatevers in the way. I get that. I can intellectually understand that.
hmm
Emotionally, though, I don't always see that and I don't always feel that. And so that's the topic of today's conversation is, why do you think it's so hard for someone to actually see or receive care that's right in front of them?
I believe that care requires vulnerability. Part of the reason I think it might be tricky for people to express their care is because it takes an enormous amount of courage to tell a thing about yourself that matters, right? Even a tiny thing. I really like that TV show. I really like, maybe something that isn't that important, but you're revealing, oh, there's something about this that matters to me. The more people know what matters, like the more vulnerable we become. Oh, if you know what matters to me and you might potentially disagree with it, push back against it, use it against me, any number of things. I think care requires a vulnerability, a bravery, a courage. And I think we live in a world where we're not really trained or taught to really show that in a lot of ways. And it's portrayed as very sexy to be mysterious and aloof and to not care. How many figures from movies are the person who's so cool because they just don't care, right? And that's a big part of their identity. Like the thing that makes them cool is that they don't care. I don't care about if you like my outfit. I don't care if you know. And so I think we've glamorized not caring, and we haven't practiced caring and recognizing care and respecting care. Because I remember one time, I was this has happened a few times in my life where I had a thing coming up and someone would try to comfort me by basically telling me, well, don't be so nervous. It's not that big a deal. And I remember thinking, well, the fact that you don't care about a thing I care about doesn't make it easier for me to care less about it. Now I'm mildly annoyed, as opposed to recognize that it matters and then go from there, right? So, it's just, I remember early in my teaching, which feels crazy now because it's like 2 decades ago, and I was so nervous that I was like, oh, they asked me to sub for this senior teacher, like, can I do it? And I expressed being nervous, and my friend was, it's just a yoga class. The fact that you don't care about it or that you don't think it like merits a certain level of care hasn't changed that I do. And so now I just feel like you haven't seen or held me and my situation, what I care about. And then you're left like, well, so, and that, I think that then lends it to, well, then maybe I'll be more guarded with what I share with people, because when I tell you I care about something and I get that response, it is incentivizing me to not tell you about things I care about, so because I can't trust you.
And it's part of what I mentioned. Like, it's frustrating on both sides. Like, that person may still care about you, right? That person that was saying, "Oh, it's just a yoga class," they may still deeply care about you, but the way that they're expressing their care in that moment isn't landing for you,
Right.
right?
Well, we should be clear about like what we mean by care,
Sure.
because I care about how I show up when I teach yoga. I care about how I show up when I'm doing the embodiment circle or the sharing circle. I mean, these are things that I care about. And that isn't the same thing exactly as, do I care about this person? So maybe for the remainder of this episode we should talk about like interpersonal love, because yes, I believe that that person does care about me, or that they love me and they want good things for me, but they didn't recognize that I cared about this thing, and that's why I was nervous. Telling me that you don't care about it is the least helpful thing, because it hasn't changed anything except now I know you don't care about it. But do they love me? Sure.
That's like my Christmas example. That's not the response that I needed from my family, right? I needed to receive their care fully for me and my emotions and my nervous system. I needed to feel them. I needed to feel their care in a way that I could hear, and that would have looked like, "Hey, I really want you at Christmas this year." And that's not what I got.
Mhm.
But underneath it, I know that that's what they were trying to say. And so if I care about family time or care about quality time, I still think that there's a way that we can meet each other. And I think that there's a way that we can, both as the giver and the receiver of care, that we can kind of like have some sensitivities to what it is that we're trying to express, or what it is this person might be trying to express to us. And can we hold it with a little bit less preference sometimes,
Mhm.
and more with like an openness of like, okay, do I trust that this person loves me? Yes. Are they resonating with the thing that I care about so much right now? No. However, doesn't mean that they care about me any less.
And I think understanding a person's care can help you meet them. I'm gonna give an example with my ex-husband. We were in couples counseling, and we could critique like the robustness of our communication at times, but it came out that he would be annoyed that I would leave my glass that I drank my iced coffee out of on either on the sink or the on the coffee table. And when we had this conversation, when we like unpacked it, it was clear that we both had like different. So he was like, "I see this. This feels like a lack of consideration or care." And so what he would do is he would keep putting it away as like a silent sort of teaching, kind of train me to understand. And I would come home and be annoyed he put it away, because I'm like, well, I was going to use that cup again, right? Or that glass again. But as soon as I recognized, oh, that matters to you, and it matters to you in this way. So, I kind of discovered in this example, he didn't feel like considered. And so from that point on, I was much more mindful. I'm like, oh, I can put this away. Like, I was going to use this glass again, but what matters more to me is that you feel considered by me. So I'm going to make a behavioral change. But that could only happen once I understood, oh, this matters to you. You care about this. And until then, I'm like, okay, well, I don't care about it. I think there's a real bravery in claiming and telling people, well, this is important to me. So now another thing, my current roommate really likes it when we text each other when we're coming home. It's super different for me. I just haven't done that basically my whole life. And we had a conversation where I'm like, "Oh, this really matters to you. This is a gesture that has value." So then I have now tried, with, I'm going to say fairly good success, but there's still moments where I get home and I'm like, damn it, I didn't text. But mainly because I'm like, oh, well, you matter to me and this matters to you. And so it's a thing I can do. I can sort of meet you in your care. I can try to hold and understand what you care about and then meet you in that way because I care about you.
Right. And that's why there's so, like, the two different types of care, they are kind of connected, right? I care about this, and you care about me to consider what I care about, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, like, roommate considers um, transparency of communication, of protecting space, right? And be like, okay, like, hey, you're coming home, like,
Hmm.
just want to give you a heads up, alerting the fact so that it's not a surprise when somebody comes in, right? That is something that that person cares about. And you care enough about that person to be like, oh, well, that's not what I normally would do, but I can do that. I can do that for this person because I care about them. And then they're receiving that as this person cares about me
Right.
versus, like, going back to, I'll keep it with my example of like my family, like, you know, I just don't feel the care because they're not showing up in the way that I want them to. But the critical thing is I have not had that conversation with them, like
Hmm.
your roommate. Be like, hey, I receive care in this way, right? Like, this is really important to me. And are you willing to meet me in this way to show me that you care? Because you do care, but I'm not receiving it as such.
Well, and right. So with these examples, if you were to tell them and help them understand what you mean and ways in which they could demonstrate that, and then they still don't do it or don't try to do it, because the thing is, it's funny with my roommate example. Recently, it was like a funny day where I had texted like 2 times coming home, and he wasn't there, and it was like not a big deal. And then the one time I forgot to text, he was home, and I did interrupt him, and I'm like, oh, I'm so like I was doing so well all day, but it was much softer because, oh, I see your efforts. Um, so I see that you care enough to try. Uh, in which case, then the lack of perfection was more palatable than I'm not trying at all. So now this is super annoying, right? So with your family, it's empowering them to know what you need. And also, I think there's a part of it recognizing people's capacity. So they may not be able to give you everything you need or exactly how you need it. And then you have to think about what's what's the minimum amount that I'm willing to accept because you care about them, right? It's funny because, like, I love my mother. I love my mom so much, and she has a communication style that sometimes is like tricky for me, and I I have to like whether like, well, I care about you enough that I can manage it in this way for this long, because I don't think that's going to change.
My mother too.
Always talking about our moms.
Right, gay boys talking about their moms. I've had to really come to terms, and there's a woman in town, her name is Myra. She runs an art studio, and she also teaches a sound bath, at the yoga joint on Wednesday nights. And her and I have had a lot of opportunities to connect, and this topic actually came up recently with us, where she saw something was, weighing on me, and she goes, "How's your relationship with your family?" And I said, "Really distant." And I explained the situation and, like, kind of like how they don't always meet me in the ways that I want to be cared for. And she's like, "Well, have you considered, just accepting what they're giving you, right? And just being okay with it?" And like, she gave the example. She's like, if your dad calls you up on the phone, instead of your attitude being, "Oh, it's my dad. He's not going to meet me the way that I need to be met. Hello," versus, "Oh, my dad's calling. He must really care about me. Hi."
Mhm.
Right? Like, instant change. But that requires, you were saying, it requires work, and it requires a benefit of the doubt that, like, some people are going to be more, I don't know if advanced is the right word, but a little bit more aware or mindful of these types of concepts. And sometimes it is, yes, I could have a preference. I could absolutely have a preference and a way in which I default receive love and care.
Mhm.
But can I also be filled up when it's not that? Right?
Well,
Like, if I really love quality time and that fills me up, woo! woo, right? But that's not what I get all the time.
Mhm.
Like, can I still like acknowledge that that person cares?
Yeah. And I think recognizing general like aptitudes and capacities and things like that, if we use the example of flexibility, given that we're both yoga teachers, you and I both know that uh, students walk into the room with wildly different, flexibility.
Physical and mental.
Well, that's what. So I'm just saying, like, mental, emotional flexibility is also a thing, and it's a thing. I think that maybe some people have a more natural aptitude than others, but it's also a thing that can be practiced and honed and whatever, which we've seen through people who practice yoga regularly. Even really tight people start to open up, things start to shift and change, right? That could be true too. But can you imagine being like the really tight person walking into a yoga class and having the teacher be like, well, you can't meet me in a full split. So I have a feeling about that. You're like, no, so recognizing, okay, well, where can you meet me? And this is interesting because we don't want to excuse bad behavior or certainly not abuse. And that's why I think the effort goes a long way. Oh, you keep showing up. You're really committed to trying this thing. That I think goes such a long way. Because why? Because well then that's a demonstration that you care. It's not necessarily a demonstration that you are capable of doing a particular thing, but that you care enough to keep trying, keep honing that skill. And that really goes a long way for me.
Demonstrating that you're listening,
Mhm.
right? When somebody communicates that to you, when they communicate a preference.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might be like a hard line. Most of the times, I hope that it can be a preference that we can have a conversation about, like roommate example,
Mhm.
right? I would prefer that you text me on your way home, right?
Yeah.
And 2 out of 3 times you did it,
Yeah.
right? Demonstrating care, right? And so I think like the demonstration of effort comes through a conversation, though, and a revealing of expectations on both sides.
Yeah. So I'm going to share a story now about a very dear friend of mine. I'm going to use his name. My good friend Gordon, who I love very much.
Gloria,
Gloria.
Gloria, we love you, Gloria.
Yeah. So my friend Gordon, and recently I got really annoyed with him because I went out of my way to see him twice. I invited him to brunch and he couldn't come because he had to work. Then I saw him for a quick coffee. And then I went by the bar where he was working to see him again. And afterwards, he gave me this text message. And I got really frustrated because I'm like, I care about you so much. I tell you that I care about you. Like, why are we, why are you questioning it? Anyway, the long story short was that I later came to realize I'm like, oh, I feel really clear about how much I care about Gordon. I can feel it because it's my emotional and physical sensational experience. And I'm the only one who can feel it because it's mine, right? Like the world would be different if we could feel other people's emotions, in that same way. So I'm like, oh, I'm annoyed because I know it with every fiber of my being. But then I realized I'm like, but that doesn't mean he knows it. And then I also thought, and I have a tendency to have a hard time trusting that people do care about me. So if anyone should be able to relate to that experience, it should be me,
Mhm.
right? And so I was like, oh, I get it. And because there are big changes coming, I'm like, Gordon's, afraid of missing me and he loves me. And everything shifted with that realization. And I was like, I've been using the word love bomb,
Mhm.
but like, I just need to reassure him and every other person that I love deeply that I love them deeply. I had to remind them that I care about them. And I'm trying to do that now in ways that I think they can hear because the essence of it hasn't changed. I've loved and cared about Gordon and so many other people for a long time, but did I go out of my way to say it in like obvious ways, or not even obvious ways? It would have maybe felt obvious to me, but um, in ways that they needed. And then of course I was attached to, well, I did this though, and I did this, like, which felt obvious shares of care to me. And that's like the whole like love language thing to be like, okay, well, just because it's obvious to you does not mean it's obvious to someone else. And if you care enough, which I do, I'm like, can I do something else? So it has paid off.
Right.
Gordon is out. Gordon, I love you. If you're listening to this episode, I love you. I love you very much.
He's 2 weeks behind, so Gordon 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in 2 weeks from now, I'll still love you. When you're listening to this, I'll still love you. I love you. And like everything softened,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, all I had to do to make this situation better was claim the thing I was already feeling,
Right.
and I had to put aside like the annoyance that, oh, this person can't mind read.
Right.
When I realized it, I started laughing. So I'm like, oh, right, like I'm asking for a mind reading or a sense of my own internal felt sense from another person. None of these things make any sense. And so I kind of giggled, and then I love bombed, showed care,
Yeah.
and everything softened.
Yeah. And it's a very clear example of like, I invited you to brunch, coffee with you, and I stopped by to see you. Those things, from your perspective, signal care.
Mhm.
But to somebody else, that may not signal care. There's a plethora of different reasons as to why. Sometimes it's like, okay, well, I want quality time, and that's not quality time to me. Right. And so I'm not seeing it as care. So switching it, recognizing it, powerful. So
Mhm.
powerful to be like, oh, we just had different expectations or different preferences around care, but I do care about you. So I want you to know that. I really want you to like bring this to the surface, bring it out into the open, and just let it be as transparent as possible. I care.
Well, and let's stay on this for a second because, we're in the middle of Provincetown summer. And so I do believe that Gordon, send me a message when you listen to this episode, um, does really value quality time, right? And it's P-Town summer. That's hard to come by, especially, for townies who are working the overlap. It's pretty tricky. And so at some point then we have to get comfortable with accepting what we can do. So would I love a 3-hour dinner with Gordon where we get to like go deep? Yes. Do I think that's going to happen in July or August in Provincetown? No. So then so then the work becomes this shared journey together of, well, then can these little stolen moments when I drop into the bar, which I know is non-optimal, considering the depth of conversation that we would like to have, but it's the thing I can give. Like, is that enough? Like, and having that conversation about, can I show you care in this way? Because I can't quite show you care exactly how you want it right now. It's interesting because it might also be exactly how I want it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who's ever worked in P-Town will immediately understand what we're talking about. This is really tricky. We're all really busy.
Yeah. And the overlap isn't great. And I think though with this example, the beauty of the transparency of communication, I think goes such a long way. If you're a sensitive peach like I am, right? Like I bruise really easily and I take things super personally very quickly. I go into story very quickly. I have still so much work to do
Mm.
around that. Right? But right, like while I'm doing the work, can I express to people what it is I might be wanting or needing, and also then use that empathy to have been on that receiving side to put that out into the world, to transparently tell people, hey, I'm stopping by to see you for 5 minutes because I really care about you. This is not optimal. Can I actually say those words out loud?
Well, I mean, and I want to highlight for people listening that, Gordon is a man who is in the work. I consider myself a man who's in the work. We practice and we communicate and we, whatever. Uh, and it still took this long.
Mm.
So, this is not about doing these things perfectly. It's about, a constant sort of evolution. So I just learned a thing and I can only now start working with that thing. I am going to go make another story about my ex-husband.
Mhm.
When we were in couples counseling, he had this complaint that I would reflect back words that he said, and he felt like I was sort of pigeonholing him into things, right? And I'm like, well, that's what you said to me. And he said, oh, well, because I have anxiety, I will rehearse things in my head. So usually when I say something, I feel pretty clear about it. And it turned out that he is more whiteboarding and kind of working through it in real time in the moment. And so I remember having this moment in couples counseling where I'm like, I didn't know that. So you said things and I just believed you. And I'm like, now I do know it. So now I can start to keep that in mind. I said, but I can only start doing that right now. I just learned that thing. So I can't go back and undo all the times I reflected back and not knowing it. I just learned it now. So I think part of the practice is even when there are hurt feelings or disappointments, you didn't show up in the way I wanted you to, and like those feelings and experiences are real, but you can only act on a realization once you've had it. And so then can we be patient? So the thing with that's why I started laughing with Gordon, where I'm like, initially I was frustrated. Of course I fucking love you. Like, why? You know, and then you have the realization and you're like, oh, okay, well now with this, I can be totally different, or I can try to be, I can start the process of practicing in a different way. Saying all that just to highlight this work is an ongoing, blooming, evolving, and even when you have people, both people in a relationship doing this work, it can still be bumpy. There can still be uncertainties. And there can be periods of time where you are not meeting each other. And sometimes periods of time where you're not meeting each other and you don't even realize you're not fully meeting the other person. And so you have to be willing to consider a new possibility in light of new evidence, right? Oh, I just realized a thing. I just realized a way that I can meet Gordon. Can I start doing that now because I care about him? But the thing is, I couldn't do it any sooner than me realizing it.
And I think this goes back to one of the first things you said. Like, care also, you have to trust that person. You have to trust that person can go along with you, right? And like, trust that, like, we can weather the storm, that we can figure this out, that we can consciously choose, like, over and over again to continue to reveal,
Mhm.
to be vulnerable with somebody, to
Yeah.
continue to reveal, I care about this.
Right.
Or this is the way in which I receive care, or whatever it might be, whatever the conversation is. Can we be vulnerable with people to let us in? And then can we trust that that person, like, even when they get it quote unquote wrong, still cares?
Well, this example with Gordon is so perfect because he did demonstrate care for me by sending me these text messages that I found frustrating.
Yes.
He was telling me what he was feeling and what he wanted. He was telling them to me in a way that like I didn't love, but also I didn't realize until later, like, oh, because he can't feel the love I have. So just exactly what you said. And even when it's working, you're like, oh, this person tried to communicate with me. They did communicate with me. It still might take a minute to kind of land and say, wait, what is actually happening here? Why am I annoyed? What's going on? What do they need? What are they really saying? You know,
Or that we can reveal, the better chances we have of meeting each other. That's a long journey. That's a long journey to be able to fully reveal,
hmm
like, exactly what it is that we're trying to communicate, or what it is that we're wanting or needing.
I mean, sometimes we don't even know.
Right.
Like it takes time to figure out
Right.
the nuance.
Because even in that example, I think, like, how specific was he in that message about, like, this is what happened, this is what I would prefer, right? I don't recall, but I don't think from what I hear from you saying, it wasn't like black and white. It wasn't a black and white, like, I need this. It was, I'm frustrated because.
I mean, he was in the same process I was in, right?
Totally.
So he was telling me how he was feeling.
Right.
And some of like part of why I got annoyed was like at one point he said, "You seem defensive." And I'm like, "Oh, that's," but now that in reflection, I'm like, that's probably right. That is how he felt, right? It took longer to recognize, oh, we're just gonna miss each other. And I just need to remind you how much I love you. But that took time.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna move through this life, and it's going to be rare that we get the perfect communication that we need. That's gonna be rare, I think, just generally rare. Uh, it's definitely not gonna happen every time, even if the person is attempting to do it. And so we have to have some leeway for ourselves and for others. Oh, it took me this long to have this realization. Okay, well, that's how long it took. And now I have it. Now what do I do with it?
Work on it together. You can work on it individually and together, to come together and really, like, love bomb each other.
Yeah. Another reason why it felt so silly later was I'm like, I absolutely love you. I have a ton of love in my heart for lots of people, and I'm never sad when I tell them. And I am really busy, and I know that I can at times have a very like matter of fact manner of engagement.
Mhm.
I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a fitness instructor. Like, oftentimes, I'm controlling a room. That's part of
Left foot goes here.
step your left foot forward. Yeah, like so. I recognize it about me, and so then I had to remind myself of that too. Oh, okay. Well, that feels commonplace, day to day business for me. Maybe it feels edgy, defensive, uncomfortable, lacking a warmth that a person who's desperate for some warmth would really like. Again, this like it makes me want to laugh because as soon as the realization, I'm like, I can just tell you how much I love you. I can do that. I can do that every day.
Mhm.
We did not plan on having this conversation, but I would like this episode to be the unofficial love letter from me to Gordon, or from us to Gordon, but me in particular. Gordon, I love you. I'm so glad you're in my life. Sorry it took me this long to recognize a way in which I can meet you,
Mm.
but I recognize it now, so I'm going to keep working with it. And hopefully, you'll stick with me through it.
This reminds me of probably my favorite Garth Brooks song.
Oh, okay. Garth Brooks, here we go.
Yeah. If Tomorrow Never Comes.
Wait, are you going to try to make us cry?
No, because this is well, maybe. I mean, like
Okay.
it's connected to that, and it is something that I try to remind myself and live by
Hmm.
because I've lost loved ones in my life who never knew how much I loved them. Now I live with the regret that my true feelings for them never were revealed. So I made a promise to myself to say each day how much she means to me and avoid that circumstance where there's no second chance to tell her how I feel.
Mm.
Because if tomorrow never comes, will she know how much I loved her? And so it's an opportunity. And my hope, prayer, wish for everyone here is that you tell people how much you care about them. Because the truth is, we don't always feel it.
Yeah.
We do not always feel when other people care about us. And so it does go a long way to boldly communicate it to them. And it doesn't have to be, I love you, but it
I
could,
say I appreciate you.
yeah.
I say it a lot. It's part of my practice.
think that goes a long way for people.
Well, some people think it's crazy. Whatever.
Right. But like, that's the way that you show care.
Well, it's also a practice
Yeah.
because it's the same idea, which is sort of funny now with the story with Gordon, which is that's a thing I've been practicing. And this is a beautiful reminder of like, oh, well, I've been spiraling through this practice as we do with most of them. And it took me into this point to get like another layer, another view. That is how I have experienced a lot of my practice and a lot of how my teachers have talked about it. We come back to the same thing. We're doing, asana, we're doing breath, we're doing meditation, we're doing, and through repetition, things get revealed. Think about things you understand now through years of practice that it would have been hard for you to even wrap your head around on day one. That's part of it. It's actually a beautiful part of it.
It's a beautiful opportunity. Revisit it, see what's changed, see what might need to be adjusted, to make sure that it's still doing the intended purpose, right? If that practice has an intended purpose,
Mhm.
if telling people, I appreciate you, the intended purpose is to show people I care about you and I want to express that verbally so that like it's very clear. Sometimes that's not landing. And it's an opportunity to like, oh, well, here's a different perspective of it. Maybe I switch it up, maybe I change it up, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Right. Or maybe I say it more frequently, whatever it is. Right. You're absolutely right. Like it is a beautiful part of practicing something, seeing it from a different side, seeing it from a different angle, adjusting as necessary. I think about low lunge. I've been doing yoga for almost 15 years before I realized I could move my hips in different directions to lower my hips. I pull my right hip back, I press my left hip forward, and then my hips drop down. What?
Wait, when did you discover that?
It was wild just recently. I think it was probably in one of your classes.
Yeah.
Like it was within the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And I've been doing yoga for over a decade at that point. And I was like, whoa, but that's back to something over and over and over again and discovering nuances.
Yeah. There's a this. teaching in ballet where they would talk about, whenever you do like a développé, essentially lifting your leg up, which obviously lots of ballet dancers do, and, ballerinas in particular. And they used to say, lift your leg, not from the top of your leg, but from the bottom of your leg. And anatomically, that doesn't really make any sense. You're like, well, the way that the muscles work, this is what's responsible for hip flexion, and this is what's responsible for knee flexion, But I remember, you know, years into my training, getting a sort of a sensation. And I'm like, oh, I think that's what they mean. That sensation that changed my intentionality around doing this thing. But it was only from like hearing it over and over again and thinking about it and trying and trying and trying until one day you're like, oh, I got a new perspective on that. Now, I never had great developers, so I had my own strengths.
What if a teacher thought that like by you not like hitting that develope was a way of like not appreciating them, right? Like,
It's all about the effort. I
Mm.
think dance teachers, even the strictest, sort of like sharpest of them, recognize the effort. It's a little bit like, oh, I want you to do 6 pirouettes. Okay, cool. If I can't do that right now, doesn't mean I'm not trying or that I don't care about what you just said. Are you trying goes a long way.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't think any of my dance teachers did that. Thank God, because these take a long time. So if you ask me for 6 pirouettes, I'll have to just tell you how much I love you.
Well, I can't do that, but
Yeah,
I can do it, and I care about you.
I
This
care
is what
about your teachings.
That's right.
Yeah, you matter to me, and I can keep trying if you want.
With that, I feel inclined to say, I care about you. I care about you, Chad. I know that you're going to be watching this, editing it for us. So just getting it out there into the universe. I care about you.
Thank you. I think that we need to bring more communication around our care, because my life is an example. There are so many people that I have care for, levels of care for. And I'm going to bring up another example. So we're dropping all the names. There's an unbelievable woman named Linda at the Coffee Pot.
And,
It's the coffee shop. What's the name of that plaza?
Portuguese Square.
Yes, in Provincetown. And I have, for the last 2 years, been going there to get my iced coffee because it is the biggest iced coffee in P-Town. So it's really great deal. And I have now created a relationship with the woman who's there mainly. We talk every day now. We have a nice interaction. She sees me. She's sometimes making my coffee before I've even walked through the door,
Really
right?
sweet.
It's just really, really great. And so, do I care about Linda the way I care about my mom? Or the way that I care about my life purpose? No, probably not. But do I care about Linda in a way that matters and that I think is important to me and I think is important to her? Yes. Yes. And so, and I actually know one, like the moment our relationship, Linda and I, the moment our relationship deepened was when I said to her, I'm like, this was last summer, I'm like, these summers are really intense for me. And seeing your face every day has been like a bolster or a buttress for me. I really appreciate how nice you are to me in the morning when I'm going to start a really demanding and sometimes unbelievably lonely day. We were already familiar with each other, but I think that my declaration of like, you matter to me and here's an example of why, like, deepened it. I'm sweetie now. Like, she's just, you know what I mean? It's like we have a whole thing. We have a whole thing. Anyway, Linda, if you're listening,
I mean,
I don't know if you're listening, but if you are listening, I care about you and thank you for all the things you've done for me.
well, I'm feeling very complete.
Oh, I'm feeling complete too.
Will you take us out, please?
Yes. Let's close our eyes and just draw our awareness inward for a second because we care about our bodies and our intuition. And it is with deep appreciation and gratitude for any insights, understandings, or awarenesses that may have been gained through this conversation in the shared sacred space that we now release the archangels and the spirits that we called in. And with these words, our container is open but not broken. Aho.